and Councilman Porter. So we do have a quorum this evening. I've asked Councilman Podeska to lead us in an invocation and Councilman McComber to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this time to meet together as a city. We're grateful for this building to be able to meet in, and for all those who have come out. We ask you to please help us to be able to cover all the items in the agenda. And
until late at night, there is a constant stream of roaring engines and squealing brakes. We seek a peaceful and quiet neighborhood for our families. For those of us on Grandview, the dirt and dust settling in the wake of these trucks is a problem. It coats everything in our yards, making it exceptionally challenging to maintain the health of our plants, outdoor appliances, and patio furniture. The dust and diesel pollution enters our homes and settles on surfaces, which exacerbates allergies and health concerns for our families. Lastly, the damage to our road infrastructure is undeniable. The street is littered with debris, sand, rocks, pebbles, mud, and dirt left behind by the constant flow of trucks. This not only degrades the road itself, but also creates risk of injury from flying debris and poses a hazard to our vehicle property. We have experienced cracked windshields, and the fences lining Grandview are littered with holes from flying rocks and pebbles. In conclusion, I ask you to weigh our concerns carefully. It is my fervent hope that you will continue with the ban of all commercial traffic to ensure a safer, quieter, and cleaner future for our neighborhood. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Please avoid clapping. This is Robert's rules, so please avoid that. Okay, anybody else?
Hello, my name is Heather Lambert. I have 1531 South Lakeview Terrace Road. I've been a resident of Saratoga Springs for just over 10 years. My kids attend 4 of our amazing local schools here. I volunteer in these schools and in my community greatly. I see and I hear a lot. Over the last few weeks, there have been many accidents involving children and cars, some in our community here in Saratoga Springs and others in our sister community in Eagle Mountain by Cedar Valley. I know that there are many variables involved in these accidents as to why and how they happen, and many of those variables are out of our control. But there is one variable that we seem to have some control over, and that's something that we can act on. The variables are the safe walking routes, which you guys and the school district have so graciously worked together in coming up with those and sending those out to our schools. We're so very appreciative for that. Thank you. I think these safe walking routes are wonderful, and I love how much you guys care about the safety of our children. The issue I see with these routes are that many of the parents and children do not follow them. And this is no fault of yours or the schools. There are many emails sent out. It's posted on websites and everything. But there just seems to be a lack of accessibility for those parents to be able to access them. Either it's they don't want to follow them, or they don't know where they're at, they don't read their emails. There's lots of issues, or there's also the barrier. But it's that last reason that we can act on. I know that the safe walking routes are communicated, but they go unseen. There are also many other excuses, but there's no excuse good enough to prevent us from trying everything that we can to ensure our children's safety. The old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, applies here. But I would like to ask the city if they will help me in marking these safe walking routes around the schools with semi-permanent, because I know that these walking routes can change sometimes yearly, visual markers. For example, painting some yellow bricks on the sidewalks along the way so the kids can follow the yellow brick road to school. Or posting some posts with some signs along the path so that people can clearly see them marked as they walk along. My hope is that the more visual paths for the safe walking routes will also help anyone driving through our school zones be more aware that children are present past the school crosswalk and the 20 below speed limit and the crossing guard, because our kids walk further than just that safe zone. And I'd like to expand these safe zones by hopefully bringing awareness to everyone. If we can make these more visible, then we can help all of our children and parents in our community get to school safely. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Hello, Larry Myler, 10771 South Rippling Bay, South Jordan. So I'm kind of a foreigner among you, but I've been working here in your city for some time. I'm the developer of the Brixton Park project, and I just wanted to say congratulations on the recent opening of Mountain View Corridor and Foothill Boulevard. And it's been a pleasure to work with your city in doing that. We were able to give some financial assistance. It's been our honor to do that. In working with your staff, I'd like you to know, Mr. Mayor and City Council, that we've had a delightful time. It's been wonderful, working many hours together on various projects and working through challenges and issues and trying to make it a win-win in every instance. It takes a lot of time and effort and thought, and we've been very pleased with the consideration that we've received as we've gone forward on these projects. So hats off to you, to your city, to your staff, and we're very pleased to continue working on these projects in your city. So thank you.
Thank you.
I apologize, I'm a little taller. Mr. Mayor, council members, community, thank you for your time. My name is Stephen Heinrichs. I live on 392 West Misty Sage Way. I'm here because I want to express my gratitude for the plans that I've heard about of some wonderful signs put on Grandview Boulevard that are currently covered up with some black plastic that I am told are intended to prohibit truck traffic. However, my concern was raised when I saw a letter circulating by the local landfill company who was petitioning for that decision to be overturned. And I'm here to speak about that and my concern. I don't know if you've received a letter. I'm more than happy to share it with you and email it to you. But in that letter, the company expresses their concern for their customers because banning trucks on that road will cause their customers to have to go around on the new extension of Foothill Boulevard. The intent that they have for this letter is clearly stated in the beginning, and I'll quote. It says here, "We are opposing this action to help out our landfill customers save money." They go on, they mention a few arguments that distracts to the issue, in my opinion, where they're mentioning why the road was resurfaced. They mentioned in the letter about a water leak. All these things, as you read, I'm sure you'll agree with me, are not relevant to the true issue of safety. As my neighbor, Ms. Atkinson, expressed, we have hundreds and hundreds of small children and parents on that road going to and from school several times a day. Now, I've had understanding in the past for truck traffic having gone on Grandview Boulevard because that was really the only way that they could get to and from their location. However, now we are blessed to have an alternate route. And when looking at the letter and looking at the options out there, to me, the choice seems simple, and I hope that you'll agree with me, is that the need to save money for their customers and potentially a few minutes to drive around versus the children's safety and that of their parents is a simple choice. Common sense would dictate that we would put our safety first. I'm concerned that the company would even bring this up and not consider public safety, but I hope that you as council members and are appointed to help protect our community will make the right choice and choose the children's safety over a few dollars saved. Thank you.
Hi, council members and those present. My name is Nick Burt. I live at 691 Valley View Drive in Saratoga Springs, right off of Grandview Boulevard. I did send an email to all council members earlier today. You may have received it, and I didn't want to to beat a dead horse, so to speak, and rehash all those items, but I did want to support the previously expressed sentiment of those that spoke before me. And I did want to reinforce verbally what I put on paper, so to speak, and highlight in particular, though, there are certainly economic factors at stake, and all due respect to that side of the issue, there's a greater thing at stake, and that's the lives of our children, right? And I don't think it's hyperbole to state that an accident is a matter of when, not if. And if we continue to allow traffic on such a largely populated road by children, it's just a matter of time, right? My children daily, aside from school, are crossing to the other side of the neighborhood to see their friends. My daughter, God bless her, is not the best roller skater, but she insists on visiting her friends on roller skates, right? And I see other children veering out into traffic, chasing things, or attempting to cross safely, but they don't. And as a marriage and family therapist and someone that works specifically with children and adolescents, I can attest to their lack in visual, auditory, and observatory senses at that age, right? And it doesn't take much for them to be distracted. And it doesn't take much for a truck driver to be distracted. And, a matter of minutes, though it does add up for a business, I would argue that the life of a child is incalculable in its value, right? And as far as the matter of time goes and the cost burden associated with that to the truck drivers and their businesses, several people have tried that route, and it averaged 8 to 13 minutes in additional time, not the 30 that was previously stated. So anyway, I just want to echo that sentiment and put on public record that we're against it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Henk Heinrichs. I live on 392 West Misty Sage Way. And I have a comment that puts it a little further than that. Our neighborhood is ever expanding. The residential area is getting bigger and bigger. I love it. I love the area where I live, and I love the way how things are being set up with the new residential areas. What comes to mind then is, in a ever expanding residential area, is there still room for companies like an explosives factory on the hill and a landfill where there have been several incidents of fires down there? And all of us know the concerns we've had in the past about fires on the mountain. A couple of years ago, we even had a big evacuation from South Saratoga Springs up to Granville Boulevard. We were luckily spared for that, but a lot of people had concerns. And with the fact that there were several fires on the actual site of the company that is kind of contesting the right-of-way down Granville Boulevard, it's surprising to me that we're not looking into a little more if there is still room for companies like that in a residential area with the materials they have there, with the accidents that are happening there, and the potential things that could happen that threaten that whole part of the community. Because you're building up more and more houses there. If something happens with a big fire or an explosion on the mountain, that could have a severe impact, and that will certainly have consequences for the people living there, but also in the aftermath with any legal issues that are going to occur there. And I'm pretty sure that the council will also consider those legal implications, because that is part of your responsibility as well. I would just want to say that. Thank you very much.
I'm Liz Anderson. I live in Lehigh, 569 East, 400 South, and I know that I'll just take credit. I'm the one that wrote the letter. It's horrible grammar, writing, everything. I'm the office manager at Peck Rock and Products. I did not expect to speak because I knew that we were supposed to just email because it said, do not talk about anything on your item. But since everybody was talking, I just thought, you can all know it's me and you're welcome to talk to me after. And this is really scary for me, but I just want the residents to know that I worked in that mine as a kid. That truck access has been there for over 70 years. And we have tried and tried and tried to not have any homes come close to the active mine, the landfill, the explosion plant. And I have all the minutes to prove it, but it's not these guys' fault that it happened. It just happened because the Alpine School District put a school. They had other options, but they chose not to put it there. And all I'm saying is, we're sorry. We tried not to have homes by us. It's not fun. And all we want is a compromise. We already have restrictions. We can only come to our landfill 9 to 3 during the school year, 8 to 4 during the summer hours. And I'm not saying, I just want to compromise so we could use it sometimes. I get the big trucks, and that's what I'm saying. But put restrictions on the other companies. But the explosive plant is closing, and I heard it was the end of the year, but now it might be into March because they're not done. So they're not going to be up there anymore. The Thomas J. Peck truck, that was my dad's company. They've all passed away, and so those trucks do not come anymore. McAllister's have that interstate brick contract. So there isn't as many trucks. It's really our trash trucks. And I get it. I wouldn't want to live on that road either. Is all we're saying is just don't shut it off completely, because when you're coming from the south, there's no other way. You have to spend the extra money. And it's all I was just trying to do. And when you work in an environment and that's all you hear is that your contractors complaining about the time and money. And like driving a car is so different than driving a big truck. And so it does take longer. And I just want them to know. And I'm fine with what everybody has said and stuff, but I just wanted to stand up and say, I'm here. My brothers are both out of town. It's hunting season. His daughter had a bighorn sheep, but she got one today. And so I told him I would come and just let you know that we don't want to cause any troubles. We just want some type of a compromise, because they still own property to the south. And so they are in your city, and we're going to be here for a while. But I think a trash company brings value to your city, because most people hate to have to drive clear to Linden. I'm the one that takes all the phone calls. Anyway, thank you.
My name is Dennis Peterson. I live at 1508 South Rocky Ridge Lane in Saratoga Springs. So I'm pretty close to all these things that are going on. I have the greatest of sympathy for you. It is difficult if you have a pig farm and it stinks and everybody moves next to you and then complains about how it smells. And that's a difficult choice, and those are difficult problems. But the one I think most of us are here about talking tonight is the trucks. And that may be a little more inconvenient, but I think the trade-off between the inconvenience and the safety issue are paramount. And I think we ought to really look more towards the safety than a fairly small inconvenience. And I, for one, when a big wind came, the trash didn't blow over in my neighborhood, that would be okay. But I'm not looking to close down Peck or any of the other businesses. I just want them to use the road that is now there that wasn't there before. We didn't have an option before. Now we have a good option. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shauna Lee Emerson. I live at 197 West Parkside Drive in Saratoga Springs. I spoke with the office lady at our school, Saratoga Shores Elementary, today, and she said that when she went out there the other day, she was just out there a few minutes, and she counted 10 to 12 trucks that came down that road during the after-school hours. We have many children that are bustling about that area, crossing the street to and from school, but not just during school hours. It's a neighborhood. They run across Grandview to go to the park. They run across Grandview to see a friend, whatever. I've lived in that neighborhood 18 years, and we've had the trucks going up and down, and we've never liked it. But we knew they were there first, and we moved there. But now we have a different option. And when we're talking about children, there's just no. That's it. The end, in my opinion. When we're talking about safety of children, that's it. The end. And so I just wanted to add my voice to the many others, and that's all. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Katie Groneman, and I live at 1287 South Skyline Road, and also in the same neighborhood, and I won't repeat too much of what's already been said. But I did want to connect the idea of this safe walking route along with a safe driving route, because as a parent, one of my worst fears is to run over a child. I'm scared to death of backing out of my own driveway sometimes. And if I were a truck driver, to be honest, I would choose to go the long way around. I would not want to chance hitting a child, and the chances are high in that area. Just recently in our, I think maybe it's been last school year, I know a child was hit near the high school or junior high at Vista. Again, I don't know the details, maybe you guys do, but I can't imagine being the parent who hit that person or other child, whoever it was. So I think, again, it would be safer for our truck drivers if they would take that route. Consider it a little bit of an insurance policy, right? It's inconvenient, we hate paying for it, but it's better in the long run. I also think, we've gotten this section of the Mountain View corridor done. What could we do to complete it so that we can get trucks that are coming from the south to be able to get there more easily? I don't know what that process is, but what can we do as a city to be able to get that going? I can see it's a process, isn't it?
Hundreds of millions.
Which is great. Yes. But, I think we are not against this company. We just would like to have them be able to stay around and also have our kids be safe. So thank you very much.
Since we are throwing copying topics out the window, I figured I would also stand up. Oh, so sorry. 125 Teal Road, Saratoga. Chell LaRue. I would also like to represent a specific school. So I'm the PTA president at Lake Mountain Middle School, and along with Heather, the safe route being pointed out specifically across Redwood from Saratoga Homeowners Association would be amazing, because it is a dangerous road. Most of you that drive by there during the day, you'll see our resource officer out there front trying to get children to go to the south crosswalk, because that is on the safe route, not the north crosswalk, because people run that when they turn right into the school all the time. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
I'm Jill Hatch, 1431 South Allison Way. And we've lived here just over 10 years as well. We don't have any children in elementary school anymore. We did when we moved here. And always a concern about Grandview and traffic. Have seen the road resurfaced a number of times. And now this summer, the major repair, the road being dug up, and I don't know the whole process. But it was really exciting because the road was getting really bumpy. Now again, with big trucks going on this road, I echo all of the concern for the children. Absolutely a number one concern. But I wonder, with spending a lot of money on repairing the road, and then we allow these big heavy trucks on it, it just seems a little counterintuitive, like we're going to be doing this on a regular basis. So I'm not sure exactly what went all into that. I've had a busy couple of months with missionary and a wedding, etc. So I haven't done all my research on this. But also the other concern we've had, now we moved here from Minnesota, so bad weather, Minnesota, I guess is where I came from. That was our middle name. But they did have this great thing, and it was this paint on the roads that was reflective. Whether it was rainy or snowy, we could still see the lines on the road. And I've seen 101 posts about and concerns about when it's wet, the lines on the road seem to disappear. And as we're going through our 5th child learning to drive, that becomes it's always a concern for me, but especially getting ready as our son is practice driving, it's a concern. And especially as we've changed lanes on Redwood on a number of occasions, dug out the previous lines, they're still there. So once it's wet, you can't tell where the lines are. That is a concern. Not only that, as a side note, I have also witnessed and been nearly hit 2 or 3 times at the intersection of Grandview and Redwood as people from the south, trucks, SUVs, small cars, blow through the stoplight, and a huge concern, not only for myself, my husband, for all my children, adult or not, and for anybody else. And just wanted to voice my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. One last comment, and then we're going to close public comments. If you want to come up and make a comment.
Hi, my name is Bree Mays. Thanks for letting me come up here really quick. My address is 1477 South Lucas Lane, and I'm just here as a public representative of the neighborhood. I mean, not really of myself, but I just wanted to be here, show support to the neighbors and my kids and our kids. You know, it's just that grand issue with the trucks going on. I applaud you for standing up, and I agree. I don't want to close them down. I just think that the middle ground here is the new road that we have access to and to keep our kids safe. I was just speaking with my neighbor, and she mentioned she works at the school at Saratoga Shores, and she was mentioning all the rocks and debris that come into the bike lane, and so it actually makes it more difficult for the kids who are traveling in our bike lanes to get home. And so that was something I hadn't really considered, but also the noise. And yeah, I just wanted to echo, all of my neighbors here and just be another number for us. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to close public input at this time, looking at.
She's a different comment.
Oh, okay. Last two, then we are closing it.
He said it was different.
Oh, okay.
Brent Cleve, 1432 South Mountain View Drive. My issue is completely unrelated to the neighborhood, even though I live there. I would like to address the City Council over City Code 192702. It's regarding duplicate road names in the city. Me and my neighbors.
Duplicate address.
Yeah.
Mountain View.
Mountain View Drive, yeah. With the Mountain View corridor extension, we are being subject to an address change forced on by public safety. And if you actually read the code, it's kind of ambiguous. It's up for interpretation on really what that means. And so this is under your wheelhouse, and I would like you to take a look at this, because in the name of public safety, that can be anything. You can change an address for just about anything for public safety. And I know we're close to the Mountain View corridor, but I'd encourage you to either invest in Google Maps to actually look at where these addresses are, or secondly, if you're going to force a change, the city responded to us and said that there's no cost in a address change. I beg to differ. Just alone in driver's license changes is $27. If you have a CDL license, it's $52, and those are mandated. And so there is a cost to residents for an address change. And so I really ask you to take a look at this city code to look at what does public safety really mean, and if we're going to force a change on residents, do we offer a reimbursement for residents? Because some people even put those nice fancy plaques on their homes, and it has Mountain View Drive on there, so some residents are going to have to change their plaques. So there is a cost associated with an address change. So I ask you to take a look at that and take a look at the policies within the city to say, hey, we collect millions of dollars in impact fees to accept these names from developers. We should, if we're going to make a change, look at a possible reimbursement, and it should be reasonable, right? You can't just throw out, hey, whatever. But a reasonable cost. Maybe it's $100 a household, whatever. But I'd really like to encourage you to look at that city code, and that closes my comments. I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Okay. Last comment.
My name is Jason Prestwich. I live at 711 West Main Street in Lehigh, and appreciate all you guys listening and the residents. I am the manager of the Peck Rock landfill, and we are sympathetic for everybody's concerns, and I just wanted to say that a compromise, I think, would be good for a GVW on Grandview Boulevard. And the previous comments that were saying about the rock debris and stuff, that ain't us. That's the side dumps going to new development on the west side of Mountain View. And I totally agree alleviating that and making it safer. And we've already had, I would say, 60 to 70% of our customers coming and using the new road. And there's one concern, I mean, safety's our utmost priority on everything. And I've been the one that's went down Grandview, and whenever there's trash, people call, pick it up, try to do everything we can. And there's already been, in the last 2-3 weeks, there's been 3 kids hit on Pony Express. And the only concern I have is if we're forcing everybody to go that way, where there's 2 schools, and I just hope there ain't more accidents there. And I know elementary kids, which is the elementary on Grandview Boulevard, I think they're actually more responsible and got better heads than the junior high kids. Because my wife's been a cross guard, and she loves cross guarding for the elementary kids versus junior high or high school. And we just want to compromise or do whatever's best for the city and residents. And we appreciate all the input from everybody, and we just appreciate being there. And not a lot of people know, but one of the owners, Cole Peck, his only boy was hit by a car right in front of the Lehigh High School several years ago. So we totally get the safety and everything, and we just appreciate being there, and just want to say thank you. And hopefully all the residents we can come to a compromise or whatever and please everybody. So just want to say thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close public input at this time. Want to thank everybody who made a comment this evening and those who sent in letters this evening. The agenda does move quickly, so if you want to stay around, business item 2 won't take long to get there for the item you've come to make comments on. So we'd love to have you stick around for that. Really quick, reports from the council. Okay. Councilman McComber.
I just want to say how excited I am that Home Depot is in the city. Not only did they just come in the city, they've already looked and embraced the city and the community. They had the marching band come and perform and donated money to their program. And so it's just really great to see another great business coming and being a true partner to the city.
Okay. Councilman Karn.
Yeah, so today I attended the Utah Lake Symposium as a member of the Utah Lake Authority. It was a full day of speeches on carp and June sucker and plants.
Sounds all fun.
It was awesome. I loved it. But no, it was a good event put on. It was actually very well attended by people interested in Utah Lake, so it was good.
Are they getting rid of more carp? Are they going to get rid of more?
The state's not funding that right now, so.
Councilman Wheeler?
I don't have anything. Just sad I missed that.
Yeah, it was.
The mayor would like a detailed update after this.
Yeah.
meeting.
I'll share the slides later.
Perfect. Anybody else? So just report, the Interfaith Council is a group that was started between the North County mayors and the local religious groups to kind of include everybody. We've been meeting, had our 3rd meeting. We will be meeting again in January. On ways to bring people together of other faiths as we have more people move in from outside the predominant Utah religion to be able to find faith and a place in the community to fit in and become part of it. So it's been a good experience working with the rabbi and the pastors and the other mayors throughout North County to help everybody find a spot that they can worship and belong. So that is going along. Administration, Mark?
I would just recommend that we remove item number 4 from the consent calendar and have it as a discussion item at the end of our regular business items.
Just remove it completely.
Yep. Remove it from consent.
And discuss it as a business item.
If you'd like to discuss it,
Yep.
we certainly can. If you want to postpone it for another time, that's your decision.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll go ahead. whoever.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve the consent items as listed on the agenda, removing item 4 to put onto the policy, business items.
Okay, I have a
Can
first,
well, someone make a motion.
Second.
have a first from Councilman Comber, second Councilman Wilden.
Can we amend that to just move that to a different meeting? 'Cause I haven't, if we're going to treat that as a business item, I'd like some more time with it.
I'll amend my motion to postpone item number 4 to a future council meeting.
Okay, I have an amended first,
Second.
an amended second. Any further discussion? Podeska? Aye. McComber?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. One more report. Owen, we've got to fix this console up here. Not to call you out, but it's still broken.
Just have that as a rolling
We're just-
agenda item.
You were just dismissed by the assistant city manager.
Yeah.
No, he gave a
Okay,
thumbs
okay.
up. It was an
Oh, I thought you gave
enthusiastic
one of
thumbs up.
these.
It was an enthusiastic thumbs up.
Very enthusiastic.
Okay, business item 1, North Cove Rezone Development Agreement.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight you are revisiting the North Cove Development Agreement. You saw this back in 2022, in July. Is this on? I'm trying to keep the slides minimized because you had a very large packet staff report for this. So,
Those really are minimized.
yeah, can you not see them?
But they're fine.
So the project that you are, the development agreement that you're looking at is, it was presented to you as shoreline development agreement and rezone from agriculture to mixed waterfront. They changed the name to North Cove, so it's the North Cove Development Agreement, same developer and landowners. The project is 33.84 acres. They are doing 49% commercial, and which allows nine units per acre. And that's how our code read in 2022. So, and I included that in your packet so you could see what the mixed waterfront zone looked like then and what applies to this. They have increased their density from, originally you saw 135 units of single-family homes, and only, I think, 42 of those was the mixed use with the residential on the top and the bottom. They have increased, which the code allows, to maximize their density on there as allowed by the mixed waterfront code to 9 units per acre. But they did increase their commercial property. So with that, just to go through another thing that that was mentioned, so in your motion on July 19th, it was a conditional rezone to mixed waterfront so long as the development agreement was approved, the development agreement was agreed upon between city staff and the city and the developer. So we've gone many rounds with the development agreement and revamped it not quite significantly, but the density was a big part of that. So another big part of that was the design guidelines. So you did see a better set of design guidelines with this development agreement than you saw with the original development agreement. And their concept plan obviously has changed to incorporate those units. One thing I want to mention is in your motion, you did call out that they needed to do commercial first, a certain percentage of commercial first with residential. And so on the phasing plan, it's a little misunderstanding because that has been the goal all along because of your motion. Phase 1A and 1B will be done together. The reason it was done this way and the way that they put the lines is because the phase 1B, 2B, 3A, and 4B, they're condominiums. They're going to have to be platted differently because they are a condominium plat. Oh, Sarah, I must have hit the wrong button. Sorry. So, I don't know what's going on.
Anyways, so that's what, to explain that, and they are sticking with that percentage of commercial. And I think what we need to do is add that percentage, so you see how much percentage per phase is going to be done at the same time as the residential. They did connect the trails. They have stipulated guidelines more specifically, just some of the amenities that they have proposed. They do have 27 units of single-family homes, and so they have provided a good product. But however, there are specific guidelines for those residential units and the townhomes now. So with that, do you have any questions?
Councilman McComber?
So with getting the commercial and the residential to be more simultaneous, perfect example is look at Vineyard. Vineyard completely got taken advantage of by the developer because they weren't as specific and clear, and so they ended up with thousands of condos and apartments, and then this really small movie theater, like one movie theater and a couple of businesses. They're finally getting more now. I mean, but for many years, and they promised the school district and everything that they weren't going to build houses first, they're going to do commercial, and then the school district gave them all their property tax back, and so there's a lot of things there. So that's one of the concerns is we're giving a higher density because we were getting an amenity. A lot of people really would like to see more businesses, restaurants along the lake. People talk about a boardwalk. People, I've been here 18 years, right? That's been a conversation. So we said, okay, sure, we'll give you this. They're even looking at potentially having a wedding reception facility here right on the lake and stuff. But we want to see that coming in at the same time. So my question is by doing 1A and 1B, 1A is a fourth of the residential, it looks like, or more.
Well, yeah, so they're doing.
And 1B, do they
Right.
have to do them at the same time? Or can they do all of 1A and then do 1B? And
No, they would have to do them at the same time.
And-
But I think that's the misunderstanding about the phasing plan.
Kevin?
Okay, so let me read what the development agreement says, and then I think we need clarity in this exhibit.
Okay.
Because sometimes the language in the text of the agreement doesn't match the exhibit, and that's exactly what's happening here. What the agreement says, the developer shall develop the commercial portions along with the residential portions, but it says according to the phasing plan. The commercial portions in each phase will be completed before development commences in the next phase. So the problem is you got an exhibit that doesn't clearly establish that. It says there's a 1A phase and there's a 1B phase. And so that kind of takes this text in the agreement and changes it, flips it on its head. So I think what we need to say now is we need to say which phase of commercial is going to be developed concurrently with which phase of residential. I think we can easily do that. So
that's what I was getting. Yep.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and we should make that as part of your motion, that we change that and be specific about which phases you want the commercial to be developed concurrently.
If I could, along that same line, though, the concern I have, as was explained to me earlier, is that the motion that approved this said that a certain percentage of commercial before the residential is completed, and that's not at all how this is phasing out. It's not concurrent. It needs to be completed, before. And so I'm concerned that perhaps some of the intent of the original application and the original motion to approve this was not met. And I think that that's some of the concerns
And that is exactly where I'm coming at. I mean, that's one of the advantages of having people who've been here when these things were approved. I mean, granted, this is just last year, but, developments, we've had this happen before where you get certain rights and then a change request comes in and it changes up and we lose a lot of the intent. And so I don't think that the developer has ill intent here at all.
Right.
I just think that economies create ill intent.
Right.
And so I don't want them just building, because there's a need for townhomes because people can't afford a standalone home right now, that they build all of that. And then, let's also put some businesses in. So I will if I don't entertain the motion, someone, we just make sure it's very clear that they need to be simultaneous, that needs to be defined and outlined as part of the motion. So thank you very much. Mayor, I turn the time back to you.
Other comments?
Yeah, just a few. I mean, I remember this as well, but obviously not word for word, over a year ago. But a particular concept plan was brought to us, and our concern is, okay, you're gonna get a little bit more density, so you're gonna have to develop the commercial first, and then now we come in, they're trying to do it simultaneously, not first, and we have higher density units.
Right.
And so I'm just, it's not the product, it was just, at least from me, from my standpoint, was the original intent hasn't been met. And for me, like, if we do if it came in the same density, I'd be like, okay, like, let's work with this. If you do it simultaneously, fine. But since it didn't come in at the same density, because we didn't specify that in the rezone, I'm not comfortable saying that it can be done simultaneously. It needs to be done before. That's my point. Because we changed the density, we changed the game. So, not a game, but changed the proposals, better choice of word.
Parameters, yeah.
Parameters, yep.
If there's no other comments, I will entertain a motion.
I'll give it a try, and taking into Councilmember Wilton's comments as well. I move that we approve the North Cove Rezone Development Agreement, ordinance 23-34 dated today, with all staff findings and conditions, including a condition that commercial is by phase is done before residential, and work with staff to determine the phasing, but the commercial is done, then the residential, so not just concurrently.
Sure.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman McComber.
I'll second.
I have a second from Councilman Wilden. Any further discussion on the motion? Kevin?
Can I propose just adding to that, just prefacing that condition, that's consistent with 19.04.12, subsection 1E, that basically ties density to commercial, to incentivize the commercial development.
So amended, hopefully you got that numbers. You can always contact
Okay, so I have an amended.
council later.
I have an amended first based on legal counsel's recommendation.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion?
I also just want to point out the reason why allowing the higher density is it still meets within the code.
Correct.
And so it's allowed. We're not giving them an exception beyond what they're allowed.
Correct.
Okay, Councilman Podeska?
Aye.
McComber?
Aye.
Karn?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Business item 2, Code Amendment Title 130201, Truck Routes.
Mayor and council, Kevin and I will tag team this if necessary. We discussed this at our last city council meeting. We tabled it, met with some of the businesses that were impacted. We are working on some solutions that hopefully will make things a little bit better in their world. We are recommending that this has an effective date beginning November 1 to allow them to continue to have time to notice people and notice the businesses and the users of the various users up in that area. Again, you've heard plenty of comment. Be happy to answer any questions.
Can I make a comment? Really, I appreciate those who kind of understood and separated out. Peck Rock has been here longer than the city, operating on that road. They have gone to reduced hours to accommodate for the school. A lot of the big trucks and mess, having lived there in that neighborhood myself, Councilman McComber backs onto that road. Our kids went to that elementary school. It's not the little trucks that are necessarily making the problem. It is the big. When the DNR permitted the mine for Lot Canyon without asking us about damage to our roads, that's when it seems like the road got dirtier, the trash got higher, the trucks ran all hours. That's when I started getting phone calls about trucks pouring on the coals and making noise up and down the road all day.
Engine braking, yep.
So I just wanted to really separate that out because I heard a lot of noise about the landfill. The landfill is a C&D, it's not an MSW. Big distinction, MSW stinks and attracts birds. C&D, your house produced that when it was built. It's mainly rock and dirt. They've separated out after the fire green waste. so that it is ground and moved, so that we don't have fires up there. So they have been good partners with the city. I get it, times are changing, but I just really wanted to appreciate all the residents who sent letters and really kind of understood that distinction in that it's gotten worse over the years. Those that have lived there a long time remember when it wasn't what it is today. So I just wanted to put that out there before we get into a lot of discussion. Councilman Carn and I drove up there and looked at the issues because there's other issues with access to that property post-road construction that's not part of this discussion tonight, but we do need to address.
Thank you. And Mayor, I apologize. There was one other item that we missed on the map, but we would like you to include in your amended motion, again, taking effect November 1st, and that is Mountain View Corridor being added from SR 73 North over to Redwood Road. We did not include that as a truck route. We are not including Foothill Boulevard or Mountain View Corridor between SR 73 and Pony because that road is not in a condition for any of those types of things.
So they would turn right or, yeah.
Yes, but we did want to amend the map to include SR 70
Anything coming from Eagle
north.
Mountain could go up there.
Yep.
Okay. Comments?
So I just have a couple quick comments. I think the mayor alluded to this. I lived at 381 West Misty Sage for 10 years. I backed on to Grandview. I'm very familiar with the trucks, and I would agree that the PECs have done a better job, but sometimes their drivers would get there at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning, and your house actually shakes a little bit, especially when they're using engine brakes because it really jars the ground. I grew up backing on a railroad track in California, so I was used to a shaking house. So it wasn't like that was bothersome. It was just the noise and the concern and safety. It's been a concern for that entire time. We all, when we moved there, once the PEC dump is filled, then it turns over to the city, and we have the right to use that as a community. Just so you guys know, it's not part of the city at this point. It is in the county. So there was some discussion. If you can share with some of your neighbors, they've left, but we don't have the ability to take away a permit, and we can't shut down that. They have a perpetuity permit, but at the same time, we can look at safety. That's one of the things that we swear an oath to, is to defend and protect not only this country, the state, but then also the city. And that's something that I take very seriously, the safety. We've spent a lot of money over the years adding extra crossing guards. The city pays for crossing guards, by the way. That's not a school thing. Some people don't know that. But we've done a lot to try and make sure over by Thunder Ridge, we had to squeak in a little sidewalk just to try and get safe walking routes. So I really do appreciate all of the comments and all the things on both sides of the issue. Last time when this came up, we had the PEC side more. They were here and they shared their thoughts and their concerns. Just two key arguments for me that will go into why my vote will be the way it is yes, there is an inconvenience for the people coming from the south end of Saratoga Springs, and then they have to go up to Pony Express and around. But we also have streamlined the process for everyone coming out of Eagle Mountain, all the development, all of the construction out of Eagle Mountain and Cedar Valley. They don't have as far to go. So we actually, by putting in the new road, have reduced pollution, the environmental pollution, the use of gas and time for a large portion. And I would wager to say that the third of the city of Saratoga Springs, south of Grandview, versus all of the north part of Saratoga Springs and all of Eagle Mountain, we probably have actually reduced overall the amount of time and effort necessary to get to the clay pit. So for me, it negates, let alone, I still think that safety is the priority and the number one reason. I will have to admit, even just in a car, there have been times when kids have bolted across the street when I was living up there, and I still visit friends and family that live in the area and stuff over the years, and I see a lot of close calls. The fact that we haven't is, in my mind, almost a miracle. because of the amount of traffic that's on that road over all these years. And we have the ability as a council right now to help mitigate that and reduce the potential of having something happen in the future. I also just state, since there are residents here, there might be, I think there's more people than normal online too. And as you share with your communities, as you go back to the few that you state, we never have to be in that big of a hurry. So even with the cars and our SUVs and our big pickup trucks, let's just still be careful. It's 25 miles an hour. Coming down a hill is hard sometimes, I know, and if you're running late, but let's not solve one problem and then have another one a year from now because a car was doing something foolish at the same time. So that's where I stand, and appreciate the time, Mayor. I turn it back over to you.
Yeah. Any Councilman Carn or Porter, either one?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Councilman Converse said. I mean, this has been an issue that I've been hearing about since before I sat on the city council. And our city's changing. We spent quite a large amount of money to build the Mountain View corridor section for the state, since they're taking their sweet time. But we spent a lot of money doing that in order to improve access to this area. And I think a key thing is throughout our city, we try and avoid as much as possible having large truck traffic on our local city roads, our neighborhood roads. We try and move them onto the main corridors. I think this map displays that well. I appreciate staff taking into account the fact that Mountain View corridor between Pony Express and SR 73 is currently already at a failure state, and so adding truck traffic to that road would be
counterintuitive.
Yeah, would not be wise at this time. But I'm comfortable adding the state road or the Mountain View corridor state road north of 73 to the map. So I just wanted to be clear that although I'm sure the PECs feel like they're being picked on, this is a policy that we've had in place for years, that we try and move truck traffic off of neighborhood roads and onto these major corridors. And this is just a continuation of that policy.
Councilman Carn?
Well, everything's been covered at this point.
Okay. Councilman Wilden?
Yeah, I do. Did someone say mayor?
When you're done.
Oh, okay. I do want to say something. This actually brings up memories of about 6 years ago. Not exactly the same thing, but we were talking about, and we did close traffic on a particular road in my neighborhood. And it wasn't traffic tied to trucks, but it was traffic tied to cars. And we ended up closing off a more convenient access route that had a significant impact on my family. And I'm one of the ones that voted to close it, even though it created a longer route. And, I have 5 kids, and even 6 years later, I don't know how long we've closed it. The other day, I forgot and had to do a U-turn because just old habits die hard, right? But the point is, it's not just with trucks. I agree we have set that precedent, but we have set a precedent that even though in some cases it may be a little bit more inconvenient for truck drivers or residentials or council members that have 5 kids that go to junior highs and high schools and teenage drivers that have to go on Mountain View corridor instead of a residential neighborhood, I made that decision back then because it was the right decision for those individuals living in that area to not have a speedy road go through it. And we didn't close it until there was access. And we're not closing this road until there's access, which is now. And I fully understand that it's inconvenient and it costs money. And I understand that while my minivan doesn't use as much gas as a big truck, Yes, I drive a minivan. Well, my wife does. I try to avoid it, but it takes a lot of gas every time we have to go the extra mileage, you know. So that's why I've made similar decisions in the past that although it might not be as inconvenient, the better protection for our residents all around always takes precedent.
So, real quick, Mark, I don't know, there was a letter in here that talks about the road going for 16 years with heavy truck traffic, 4 years from CMT Technical Services to Jeremy. So, traffic-wise, I get the big trucks, the big heavy trucks, and just to round out the whole discussion, the roll-off dumpsters that are smaller, that run through our neighborhoods for every construction site, every neighbor who does something, are they excluded from going up Grandview now with this change? Because what I'm wondering is if chiefs of police are out there enforcing and I go get a double axle trailer and load it, am I going to get a ticket taking it to my house? Because reality is I'll probably pull one.
So, I can, do you want me to answer that, or
Go
do you want
ahead.
to take
That's
a stab
your-
at it? So,
Well, I mean,
the code
some of those
only
trailers are way less
applies.
than a camp trailer.
Right, so the code only applies to very large vehicles. So here in the application section of the ordinance that was already there in place, a large vehicle has a definition, and it has to have a length of more than 45 feet, a width of more than 8 feet without load, a height of more than 14 feet with or without load, or registered for 18,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. And so those are the vehicles that are restricted. And I don't know how that applies. The one thing I was wondering is the width of 8 feet without load, but any of those would be prohibited from using Grandview. And again, I realize that safety is always a consideration.
If you have a 35-foot trailer and Wilden's truck that's an unusually long bed with a 4-door cab, and you're at 45 feet,
But the trailer's not.
You're asking a
Yeah,
great
so
question.
We may need to.
I mean, his gross vehicle weight rating in a toy hauler loaded could be.
So the way that works is if a delivery, like let's just say a company is delivering a refrigerator in one of the box moving trucks, and they're delivering to that neighborhood, they would be able to access it because that's their site. If you're bringing a dumpster to your home, they would be able to access it and pull it out of there. It's the cut-through traffic on Grandview that we're trying to limit. And if the code needs to be further refined so that it's more clearly defined, the exemptions, and I think this was raised by some of the people that are in favor of keeping this as a truck route, is that the exemptions are kind of clear. Your toy hauler, the two-wheel axle, those kinds of things, if you're going to within those neighborhoods, then that's the only access point, that they would be able to, and they would be able to use it. It's if it's a haul and they're cutting, they're now cutting the shorter route off, that would probably be the trigger. But again, it's the exemptions and other things are kind of part of that.
I just want the understanding for the record, because otherwise I know Chief's going to get calls November 2nd. Hey, Nicholas just pulled a trailer, an 18-wheeler up to the elementary school. It is the only route now, but.
Right. And I apologize, it's November 3rd is the effective date of the ordinance, so I apologize.
So I would like us to look at the code a little bit more, because I've got a lot of questions. If I've got a flat trailer that I use to haul side-by-sides and ATVs, and I bring ATVs over to your house, I'm okay. But if I put garbage on it, if I take yard waste, and I'm digging up my yard, and I take it up to the Peck fill, I'm not okay with the same trailer?
Yes. Yeah, there are 3 exemptions. Maybe I can read those, and it possibly answers all your questions.
Okay.
The truck routes do not apply to, here are the 3 exemptions. Vehicles delivering merchandise to or from local businesses or established truck terminals within the city of Saratoga Springs. Deliveries to or from residences within the city of Saratoga Springs, including but not limited to moving trucks and vans. And here's the final one, or construction trucks delivering to or returning from construction sites within the city of Saratoga Springs where it is not possible to use a designated truck route.
So it's the same trailer and truck that I own, but with a different set of material on the bed.
Well, it's a different destination.
Well, but
So if you're delivering
I
to or
don't-
from your residence, you're allowed to go on the roads that are not truck routes.
See, Kevin, when I was reading the code, though, it says delivering to a business.
No, it also says deliveries
Or to a
to
home.
or from residences.
Yeah, but to a business, that's a delivery to a business. So are we really after restricting gross vehicle weight ratings? And we need to clearly define that better? Because that's the part of the code I was stuck on earlier today.
Mayor, these are great points, and we'll bring back some clarification on that particular section of code.
Yeah, not to throw a kink in it,
For
but-
future.
No, we're not gonna write new code tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should look at that again and maybe talk to some people who drive these vehicles to see if this is restrictive enough.
You guys
or
understand
at
what I'm
least-
saying? Like, if I got four-wheelers on my trailer, I'm
Right.
okay. But if I've got,
You'd have to go up
I
to
dig up my
Pony
yard, I
Express.
gotta go all the way around. Doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it does
For
to
the
me.
same trailer.
It does to me, because you're not going to a residence, you're going to, but
Yeah.
it's
I
an
think safety is
inconvenience.
key.
It's
which
an
is what we're all
inconvenience.
looking at. It's just.
I just wanna make
the
sure we're
code's
clear.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, you can't have the code enforcement have to determine, oh, that's Chris Karn, that's a resident, that's not a business going to the dump. So we can't micromanage it to that level, but I'm happy to look at code again and determine that. And gross weight, I think, is easier to
I agree.
regulate, because
Yeah.
they can have scales and they can look at that. And obviously, we're not trying to hinder everything that goes on here, but we just want to make sure that it's
Yeah, 'cause
meeting
I-
the objective. My question is we're taking the signs off, but we're not enforcing it? Because I think it'd be good as part of the marketing to have the sign saying, here, take the black plastic off, and then just not enforcing it until November 3rd, because I think it's good marketing as well to let these truck drivers know
Give them
that,
a couple weeks of heads up.
yeah.
So we're clarifying those signs too, so it is more in line with the code.
Okay.
And I just wanted to add, I started saying like, about safety. This, unfortunately, the Utah code we can't really regulate roads because of safety, sadly. That's what's happened. But the law basically says because of deterioration of the road that's caused by climatic conditions and other factors, weight of the vehicle, that's where we can place restrictions on roads. And that's unfortunately what the law is, but that's why we condition all these engineering studies, look at that. And it was determined that Grandview, because of the climatic conditions combined with the weight of the vehicles, length of the vehicles, that, the life of that would go from 16 years to 4 years. And we've also spent $1 million on that, $844,000 over the last 10 years.
Kevin, can I just make sure I heard you right?
Yeah,
Utah state law says we cannot regulate roads due to safety concerns.
exactly.
Okay.
The only time you
Yes.
can is when a school's coming in, you can look at that's the only time you can look at safety to and from a school.
And I should have clarified, we absolutely can regulate it, we just can't absolutely prohibit it from
Right.
being used.
Got it.
Well, and then we're also not prohibiting something without an alternative. Let's just remind everyone of that. There is an
Yeah.
alternative here.
Yep.
Yes.
The PECs should not be the fault people, as I think the mayor was alluding to. There's multiple businesses up there. This is a much broader issue. It is not targeted at
In
that.
the 18 years I've lived there, the smaller trucks didn't get the issues with the double bellies and the extra large. I mean, the 110-ton trucks coming down the road. I mean, those are the ones that we've had. That's why I'm curious, just from item one, we really need to clarify gross vehicle weight rating. We've got an alternative route. We had an outpouring from the residents. I've had people stop by my house in the last 2 days, which has been great to have that conversation from the letter that was online. And I appreciate that. I just think we need to have that really clear so that residents know what to expect and enforcement knows what to expect, because we can't leave our police out there going, I don't know what I can or can't enforce. It's ambiguous. And it's just too ambiguous to me today to have the residents think we're promising one thing and it can't be enforced because it's too vague.
Yep.
We will bring back some commentary on that.
Okay, thank you. So we don't need anything on this.
We need to vote.
Did you, every final vote, everything?
We haven't voted on code amendment
Are we bringing it back or?
No.
Bring it back to your discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend approving this ordinance, and we'll come back with more changes based on your questions.
Okay.
Well, I know I'm asking you to shake the crystal ball, but how quickly can we get that back?
The next meeting or two?
Okay. When's our next
should
meeting?
we-
November?
Should we delay the start of the no truck route until we can have that meeting?
No.
Because right now, we're turning it on. I agree with leaving the signs off so people start to take different roads, but what's our police supposed to enforce? It's vague today.
It is vague,
November
but
3rd, it's not any less vague.
like, for example, for sure, a double belly dump truck would be in violation of that.
Yeah.
And so, you mentioned roll-off dumpsters. I couldn't tell you what the weight is, whether it triggers that weight exception. I couldn't tell you if it meets the width exception. We've got guys that are trained by the state to have scales out and to do truck scales and to do those kinds of things. They're trained on the enforcement. Chief Burton and his people are incredibly well-trained on that specifically. I'm the wrong guy to ask at this point, but we will work on that code. I would recommend that you move forward adopting the code and as well as the November 3rd. And then if there's issues with enforcement, then that can be handled kind of in a different way. But we will clarify, we will bring back some language with that, clarifying the give and weight discussions that we've had tonight.
I would maybe just add, I don't view it as being vague. I view it as possibly being either too restrictive or not restrictive enough, and I think that's what we need to look into.
I mean, number one's delivery to a business.
But the business isn't in our city.
Or in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Half of it is.
And that's, I think, what we need to look at is, does this accomplish what your goal is, which is to make sure that these vehicles are using routes that make more sense? So it possibly needs to be more restrictive, but those are great questions.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
you got it.
Councilman.
You want to go ahead?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
And don't forget to add the
Yep, so I move to approve business item 3 code amendment, business item 2 code amendment title 13, .02.01 truck routes ordinance 23-35 dated today, with the addition of adding Mountain View corridor from SR 73 north to Redwood Road.
Okay.
Does that have the effective date in
Can we add directing staff to
With
bring
any,
back?
with any staff findings and conditions, and asking staff to come back with some clarity on code if we need to make some adjustments to
Standards.
yeah, for truck standards, yep.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Carn.
I'll second.
Second, Councilman Podeska. Any further discussion? Carn?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
McComber?
Aye.
Podeska?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Again,
May I?
yes.
I would just like, if possible, like, our next council meeting on the 2nd, if we can have stuff ready to look at, then it would be great, so that, I know that's pushing it, but
It's the 7th, I think.
7th.
I don't know why I was thinking we meet on the 2nd.
Because the
but-
31st is Tuesday.
Oh, and I don't know if as questions come up for that meeting, if we could get one of our police officers here that do the truck enforcement and scales. They're probably the best experts we've
Yeah,
got.
they would probably know the.
We can, Mayor, but I would recommend that we make the ordinance such that any officer can enforce it.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
But just as, if we have questions in council,
As expert testimony.
okay. Perfect.
Since they know more about it than that.
Okay. Code Amendment Title 19, Section 190608, artificial turf. Chris Porter's favorite.
Yes.
Right. So this section it's really quick, basically a very basic change. Essentially, what we're doing is we're getting rid of the requirement to have a building permit for artificial turf. Applicants will still be required to submit an application, but instead of going to the building department and the planning department, it'll just go to the department for approval.
I called this.
Also, this ordinance is also dealing with another section of code, off-street parking. And this is for commercial recreation, rec centers, and fitness centers. It'll be amending the table that is found in 19.09.10. Specifically, for commercial recreation and rec centers, we will be adding the language in red there that says plus 1 stall per each 3 seats of spectator seating at maximum capacity. So the idea is if we have a rec center, a soccer facility, let's say, there's seats for the spectators. We haven't been taking that into account in our current code, so we thought this would be good to add. And then the other part that we're modifying here is fitness centers. There's 2 sections here of fitness centers, so we're just consolidating it into one, and then we're changing the parking requirement to 1 stall per 150 square feet. That number we arrived at based on some research that we did looking at other municipalities and what they require. It's more restrictive than what we have right now. It's not the most restrictive of all the cities that we looked at, but we felt like it was an improvement from where we're at right now to require more parking for fitness centers. That's the extent of ordinance 23-36. Let me, if you have any questions.
Any questions? If not,
I know that since artificial turf is my favorite topic, I know that that's somewhat driven by the state, but I'm always in favor of anything that reduces regulatory burden on our residents. So.
Okay. Any other comments?
I just knew this was coming because when we passed the first time, if we go back to the record, you'll actually hear me say that this is probably going to come back because it's too hard to enforce.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve business item 3, code amendments to Title 19, Section 190608 and 1909.10 with any staff findings and conditions.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a first from Councilman Porter, second Councilman Wilden. Any further discussion?
Sorry, I did have one question. There was a email that was sent to the council about a potential recreation facility. Has that submitted an application or are they going to be held to this new vote?
So they've been talking with us. We've been looking at our current city code.
So they haven't submitted an application?
They have not submitted an official application at this.
So they'll be held to this because they're actually looking for a reduction from our old standard and this is even more strict.
Yes, yeah, they would be bound by, if this is adopted, they would be bound by this code.
Okay, Councilman Podeska.
Aye.
McComber.
Aye.
Wilden.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Carn.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Can you reach out to them and let them know that? So they don't spend a ton of time.
Okay, business item 4, resolution of the City Council of Saratoga Springs, Utah, authorizing and approving the execution and delivery of a master lease agreement.
You have to read it all.
Oh, no, we're
Just
good.
say R23-54.
Would you please read the whole thing? Jonathan Ward's here.
I would
and I'd
like
like him to stay super.
I would like to delegate that responsibility to Councilman Wilden.
It's like half of me.
Let's just move on.
So just in short, this would authorize us to enter into a agreement, issue revenue bonds for building and constructing a new city hall, not more than $40 million. Supplemental indenture trust, bond, purchase contract, all the documents necessary to that, a preliminary official statement. It goes on and on. And then once you adopt this as city council, we would then adjourn into our local business authority meeting, take the same action as the local business authority board, and then move forward with that.
Just a clarification, because I know a lot of times people see, bonding and there's an associated tax. There is no associated increase in taxes with this bond, correct?
That is correct. This is a revenue bond, so it is not a tax bond. Essentially what it is the various departments and funds within the city, as well as, whatever assets we choose to use, we would be using that to then essentially pay the mortgage on the new city hall. And so that would, could include from possibly the sale or lease of this facility or whatever other revenues.
I sort of like to look at it as almost like a home equity line for the city. Like people know home equity line of credit, it's almost like that for us. We're using our own assets to secure our loan.
Okay,
We recommend approval of this item.
then I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve Resolution R23-54 dated today as listed on the agenda.
Second.
I have a first from Councilman McComber, second Councilman Carn. Any further discussion? Porter?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
Beska?
Aye.
Comber?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We will quickly adjourn to the local business authority meeting. Okay, we'll call to order the local building authority of the city of Saratoga Springs, Utah, Tuesday, October 17th, 2023 at 7:30 PM. Present tonight, I have trustee Podeska, trustee McComber, trustee Wilden,
I'm going to have to disclose.
untrustworthy Porter, no, trustee Porter, and trustee Carn. We do have a quorum tonight. Business item 1, consideration of officer organization resolution adopting bylaws for the local building authority. I will entertain a motion if there's no questions on this.
I think the only change is as mayor pro temp, then I become the vice chair.
Yes.
I'm
right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'll entertain.
I move to approve business item number 1 dated today, resolution LBA R23-1 dated today.
Okay, I have a first from trustee Podeska,
Second.
second from trustee Porter. Any further discussion? Carn?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Wilden?
Aye.
McComber?
Aye.
Podeska?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Consideration of adoption parameters.
Board members, honorable board.
Trustees.
And trustees, sorry. This item is, it parallels what we did. It's the consideration of the option of this parameters, super parameters resolution of authority, authorizes the issuance and sale of not more than 30 or 40 million principal amount on lease revenue bonds, delegating to certain officers the authority to settle on the final terms and provisions of the bonds with parameters set forth herein. It continues on, but I would recommend the approval of this item, LBA R23-2.
Hey, Mark,
Yes.
this agreement is the general indenture of trust. Is it between Saratoga Springs and Zions Bank Corporation, I see? Is that right?
That would be correct.
So I am employed by that organization, and I apologize I didn't pick up this before, so I'm going to recuse myself and step out of the room. There is no conflict of interest in the sense that I'm not compensated through this, but this is very similar to what I've done in the past, just to avoid any appearance of any conflict of interest. And I apologize I didn't notice that. I just thought really quick and searched for Zion, so.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Can you note?
Yes, have the record reflect that trustee Wilden has been banished. Okay,
I will make a motion. I do have a question.
Can I get out of the room?
Okay. If, the documents we have to sign, if we do approve this, have his name on it, do we need to read if he's recused himself?
I believe he can still
Yes.
sign, he just can't.
Yeah, you remove it.
Okay.
Okay. So I move to approve business item 2, resolution LBA R23-2 dated today with any other staff findings and conditions.
okay, I
second.
have a first from trustee Carn,
Second.
second from trustee Porter. Any further discussion? Podeska?
Aye.
Comber?
Aye.
Porter?
Aye.
Carn?
Aye.
Show that trustee Wilden recused himself from the vote.
Just like to
Motion
thank staff for
passes
making
unanimously.
these instead of
We
something
will
that-
adjourn this local authority meeting and go back into city council, and I will entertain a motion for the closed session.
So made?
I have a first from Carn, second from McComber, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously.
And just
So
as
Kevin,
a
real quick, in
matter
the
of,
state legislature, they don't have to recuse themselves, they just have to state their
they
conflict.
declare it.
They just
Yeah.
have to declare it. Isn't it the same at the city level? We just have to declare the conflict? I know you can do that, you can recuse. but-
Yeah.
That would be okay declaring your conflict. We'd have to look through the Ethics Act again.
I mean, it's fine because he recused himself.
I'm sure it's different for the state legislature than it is for everybody else.
When you work in risk and compliance and you're licensed with the municipal advisor, you recuse yourself unless you're an idiot. Sorry.
Last time we did this, we talked about it and basically determined you didn't have to recuse